Hello there everyone, and welcome back to another one of the Zulu War battle series battles. We've come to the second battle, which I mentioned in the first one, which is the Battle of Isandlwana. Quite a famous battle since it's the most, spoiler alert, most devastating defeat the British Army has had against a native force. And we can see here there's quite a lot more troops in this battle, I believe, than in the last one. So we're fielding a number of British companies along here, and then we have quite a lot more of these Natal native contingents and 2 artillery pieces here. So what they had planned for originally when attacking the Zulu kingdom, or the Zulu Empire, whatever you want to say, the plan was to have 5 columns go in and attack, because the Lord Chelmsford was in charge of it all. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Might have been, yeah. Lord Chelmsford. He was under the opinion that the Zulus would try to avoid actually fighting him, and that's also the reason why this battle went so badly. But that was the general reason. So he didn't take the precautions and a number of other things. But anyways, so they originally had planned for 5 columns to march in to cover as much area, I guess, to seek them out and find and engage them. But because of, I believe, logistical problems and otherwise, they decided that they would go with 3 columns. And this is the part of the second column and part of the third column. And the last battle, it was the first column we saw that engaged with part of the horns of the buffalo. And in this one we have, as I said, part of the third column and the second column that is marched in here and laid camp under or next to this hill here.
Nobody told you to stop working.
And what happened was that Chelmsford, a number of Natal troops went out from this base camp that they made, and they made contact with some Zulu forces in somewhere in front, and Chelmsford, being convinced that the Zulus would have to, that he would have to press the attack on the Zulu, that the Zulu were not as aggressive as or that they were he had this similar experience fighting other African kingdoms, so he didn't think the Zulus would act in an aggressive way. So he immediately, against a military convention which states that you shouldn't split your force if the enemy outnumbers you, and in this case the Zulus field an army of about 20,000 men, although part of this army, however, as you can see right here with all these Zulus, these are 15,000 Zulus, as 5,000 of the Zulus were held in reserve, and that reserve later attacked Rourke's Drift. So you can see my Natal is taking up along this ridge here. I was concerned that the AI wouldn't attack me because they were lining up here, but as I started moving one of the units out in skirmish formation, the AI actually started moving up to coming close with us. And also, since the AI outnumbers me quite a lot, since there's actually 15,000 Zulus on the map. I'm surprised I'm able to run this at quite decent frame rate. So there's 15,000 Zulus, and there's about 2,000 of my troops there, where there is about half and half, almost, British native contingent. Anyways, where were I? Yes, so Chelmsford, it goes again military practice, or this sort of standards. He does a lot of mistakes, but this is one of them. This is the first one, I guess. Or the first one would be, or the main one would be underestimating the Zulus. So he splits his force, and it takes half of his force, and he marches out to meet this force. But what he's really run into is just a vanguard that is there to protect and to make sure that the main force is not discovered. And he goes after that with his force, and he leaves these guys here. Now the second mistake he does is he never orders the camp to build fortifications, or to, what they usually do is they dig a square and then they have wagon forts and so on to protect the camp. And they do not do this at the Battle of Isandlwana. One of the things that is said is the part where you've probably seen the movie, the little snippet of the battle that you can find on YouTube. I'm a bit concerned here about the actual sound level. I'll reduce the sound level so you can actually hear me. We'll reduce the effect master. See if we can actually hear me, because the shots are quite loud here. We can see the native Natal contingent firing off. As I said before, these were mostly refugees and stuff that has been pushed out, and there was one specific tribe as well that a lot of them came from, which had been badly mutilated by the Zulu. And the Zulu were quite not only aggressive in battle, but they were very aggressive towards their enemies, and what one would call war crimes were committed against the other tribes that the Zulus conquered. I'm trying, of course, to shoot as many of the Zulus without losing too many men, so I'll be pulling back my troops as they close in. And as I said before, I'm playing against an AI, so that's why they're all over the place. And it probably actually helped me, because a player could easily just concentrate all his troops, and that's when the AI succeeds, when it's able to concentrate its troops to mass charge me. Got an explosion there right in the middle of everything. So the Natal contingent is holding fairly well up here. We've got one here that got a bit engaged, but the unit that attacked them is shattered by friendly fire, or fire coming in. Supporting fire, I should say, not friendly fire. Supporting fire from the two companies nearby. Anyway, so where were I? Chelmsford, Lord Chelmsford had moved away with half his force. He'd left the other half here. They had not made camp, and as I believe as well, there weren't really any good sentries, if I'm not entirely mistaken. So because they weren't really expecting the Zulus to attack them, and so there must have been quite a shock when 20,000 of them turned up. As well, they did send urgent messages from here to Lord Chelmsford, urging him to come back with the force to reinforce them. But Chelmsford thought they were exaggerating the troops, and once he actually started to move off to help them, it was way too late. And the British army moved very slowly through the... Now they're getting supporting fire here from the 24th Regiment that are supporting the Natals up front. But I'm not going to retreat the Natals any further, because I want to give time for my European force to get off as many shots as possible. And I've elected to go for this sort of zigzag formation. I've test played the battle a few times, and what I found was when I formed one single line, one of these units can easily attack. If they charge one, they'll swoop up and they'll hold down 3 units, and the British can't really stand. 80 men cannot stand against units of 300, so you'll get all of them swept away. So then I've found it better to have them stationed far apart, and as in this case where they're sort of overlapping each other. And that would also allow, if the Zulus weren't so damned fast, me to, or maybe I should have started doing it earlier, but it would be allowed to make sort of a fire and retreat as opposed to fire and advance, where I could have, as we can see here, I'm pulling back the forward regiments, but I probably should have done that earlier. The Zulus are not actually going to do a lot of well on the flank, which in the historical battle there is where they actually did do well, because the English marched out and they made a firing line, and for the center they were able to pull down so much fire that they were able to hold back the main head of the buffalo, but they were unable to hold the flank good enough. So once the horn came in, they were overrun. And very few of the Europeans survived in this battle. There were a few, because the king, Chateaubriand, had said that they should spare people wearing black clothes, and some of the officers were wearing dark blue like these, which actually saved them. But there were very few people, very few Europeans who survived. The actual order that the king had given was he had told his troops to go and eat up those small red soldiers, or I'm not sure if it said small soldiers, but eat those. He told them to go and eat those red soldiers. It didn't actually mean them as cannibals. I don't believe the Zulus were cannibals. So I've been pushed back here. We want to go into slow motion a bit to take a look. So I've been pushed back over here. This flank is still holding pretty good because it didn't face the main assault. But the main side here has been quite hard stricken. We got one company over here that was wiped out, and I believe one over here as well, basically wiped out. And we have one small company where 33 men have survived and are falling back. Colonel Arthur Dumsford, which was the historical officer on the scene, an Irishman, I believe, and he was in charge of, or he was left in charge of second, or he was in charge of second column as Chelmsford rode away with his troops to engage what he thought would be the main force of the Zulus. And we're going in here to see some close-up melee fighting. They're not doing too well, but with the support fire coming in from the side, and we got a grenade coming in there as well. But it's too much with so many troops coming in here. Although given a good fight. The small company is still standing. The officer, surprisingly, is still alive. And the bugler. The flank force, which has done very well so far, has actually also now engaged in melee, as they were unable to open fire quickly enough on these flycatcher or the UV troops. So the middle company was destroyed, and we've pulled back here to make our stand. The officer, or Arthur Anthony Durnford, is moving over there to support by firing right across this ravine. Let's see if we can't fire some grape shots into these guys, as well as give a good amount of rifle fire. Fire! Oh, that hit the ground. The problem, of course, with NW is if you just tell them to fire at the regiment, for some reason they always fire at the corner. So I find it better to tell the cannon where to fire its canister. There we actually hit some people. The thing about this, of course, is you have to go in real close, which might not always be possible, to check the terrain so you can aim it for the center of the enemy company. The smaller company there was destroyed, and only one man managed to survive, and is now making its way off the field. The flanking force, did they lose? Yeah, they lost that company. But they're still standing here with 4 companies strong, and they're going to be able to pull down quite a good fire here. And the limited amount of enemy troops in this area is going to mean that these guys could concentrate the fire on one unit. Part of also playing this, as you can see right here, there's quite a lot of smoke, and when a lot of the units are firing, looking from this direction, it's quite hard to actually, if you look here, it's very hard to actually see the Zulus. So it looks like we've pushed off the sort of main attack here, but that's because the AI got a bit confused, and they're sort of really interested in troops that are running away over there, which have caused them to run into the hill. Slash! That's a good one. Hold on! Another one goes through. But it looks like the regiment or this company is unfortunately gonna be cut down and we're gonna have to retreat. So I'm limbering the cannon, and I believe these guys actually ran out of bullets. So I'm gonna pull them back over here. And at this point there's not a lot of troops or enemy Zulu warriors in the area here to cause any problems for me. These guys have broken and there's no troops here to endanger us. Although they came back and they're charging. Although the colonel and his men are cool-headed and will punish this unit quite a bit. I like the fact that they have actually modded in the guy. If you've seen the clip from that movie that's on YouTube, it looks more or less exactly like him with his one arm there. But anyways, we dispel that troop, and now I'm left with these 4 companies of the 24th, one battery, and then we have 1 unit without any bullets left. Now there are conflicting stories about the in the movie clip which I've referred to. A lot of it is blamed on the fact that the quartermaster is unwilling to distribute ammo to the front line, and they actually ran out of it. But there are quite a few first-hand accounts that would suggest that that was not the case. This is actually this could be a very good thumbnail. Isandlwana. Very good. Maybe even right there. I should move the mouse away and we can... no, it's not so good anymore. But there we go. Look at me. I sent out Dunford to do a bit of skirmishing here, but unfortunately I'm setting up most of my troops in here, and setting them up I actually forget that I need to check in on these guys, and the Zulus will charge them and kill Anthony Dunford. There was also Brevet Lieutenant Colonel Henry Pauline, or I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that. That was the guy in charge of 3rd column. This guy was from Ireland. The other guy, Henry, was, I believe, born in Yorkshire. You can just see the amount of Zulus coming in here from all sides. So this, even though I've killed a lot of them, they still have quite a few troops left. Just look at this massive troops. If I would have gotten a real good battery to deploy and just started wailing grenades into this. I believe this is the point where I forget to retreat him, so we can be here when he dies. is the first one to fall. But I'm quite quick at pulling them back. But still, since he was the first one to fall, the unit is not that valuable anymore, since he cannot rally. Just look at all of these. There's probably still maybe like maybe I've taken out 4,000 or something. So there's still maybe 11,000 Zulus marching here. Each unit is 300 men. Seems like they've pushed a lot of the unmarried warriors up to the front, since they do not have those headbands. This guy has nothing. Oh, he has a hook, so you can, I don't know if you want to hang him on the wall. It's got a little... Cavalry unit got caught there as it was retreating, and they're fleeing now. So now it's down to my last area where I'm trying to hold here. We might as well speed it up a bit, because it's going to take a while for the fighting to actually begin here. Also, for some reason, the mod has quite a few bugs. For some reason, once you turn to canister, you can't turn back to explosive shot, and you turn instead to these fireball shots. Not entirely sure what they're called. And so now troops are opening fire for the last stand of the British force at Isandlwana, urgently requesting aid from Chelmsford. Oh, we actually have a unit marching up now. They're marching straight up into the fire. And it is the Bender of Kings, the Ingubamakamohosi. Oh, look at that guy. That must be the Induna. Maybe, since he's got such a fancy hat. Get a bit hesitant here, so as it is the AI, and they're throwing spears. They're throwing them a bit too short. I do believe they had the effective range of those spears was about I think it was 20 yards. I read somewhere, which I guess is sort of roughly 20 meters. Sort of throwing just up to the front, but I'm forming square because most of the units are now out of ammunition. We're also gonna see here, I think I managed to get one last good canister off as well, but the AI is charging us from over here, and they're bugging out, so you can see the cannon crew here is unsure of what to do. we're actually going to see here as I go into the counter charge, as this unit was engaged, and I felt that it was necessary to charge in and support our allies. I think that was a canister. I think we might be able to get one more off, or is this the... Yeah, looks like this is the end for this crew. The horse guy bolts immediately and leaves the rest of the crew to fight for themselves. But they're actually gonna go in and protect their cannon. And they're gonna die for it. And now the troops are running away, and we've got the last line. I was hoping actually they would stay, but the amount of enemy troops is just too much for them. So they fled off the field. And here we can see the result of the battle. I had 1,700 men, 1,716 men. I lost most of them, 1,292. And I managed to kill 5,000 enemy Zulus, which is a third of their force. In the actual historical battle, it's very hard to estimate how many Zulus died, because the Zulus didn't keep account, and since the British lost the field, they didn't keep account either of roughly how many men were killed. There's very good records of how many British died, but not so of the Zulus. I don't know what's more to say about this. We can go ahead and take a look at the best killers here. We got one company there killing almost 500 men, 400. This company, Natal, was a company that the AI sort of ignored right here, which I forgot to highlight, but I drew them back from up here all the way to the bottom of the mountain here, and the Zulus took out 2 of them, but one of them actually was able to stand there for a while and fire on. The cannons did not do that well. One of them only killed 34 before actually fleeing the field without losing a single man, while this artillery killed 165, losing everyone except the guy with the actual horse train, which skedaddled quite quickly once they got engaged. And Colonel Anton Durnford, which killed quite a lot of men. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. It's pretty good battle, I think. 15,000 Zulus against 1,800 or 1,700 British troops, and after this I will obviously put a little machinima like the last time of the battle. I have a bit of a cold. Hopefully it doesn't affect this too much, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that, and stay tuned for that machinima. Bye.